Welcome to Ecclesia Principles, a biblical strategy for believers to engage in God's design for government with Ray Eppard.
Hello, glad you could join us again today. We're continuing our study on civil government, the third jurisdiction that God established. He established self-government, he established family government. Then in Genesis 9:6, he established civil government. That's where God authorized humans to exercise and execute judgment or make decisions about other people. Now, with this, today we're going to go to Romans 13, because with this, we need to understand the divine purpose of civil government. And when we read the verses about government, we need to keep in mind God's purpose for civil government. Number one, the protecting of people's rights. The other side of the coin is the curbing of sin. Now, you see, when it comes down to this, we currently are in election season. The bottom line of what you should base your decisions on is God's divine purpose for government. Who will most protect the rights of the people and curb sin? That is the purpose of civil government. And the bottom line is that's who you should vote for, is the one that will fulfill God's divine purpose for government. Protecting of rights, the curbing of sin. That is really the baseline for government. Now, we need to keep that in mind as we read other verses. Romans 13:1 says, "Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God." Now, one of the problems I think that many of us make in looking at this verse, particularly that last part, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God, is we tend to look at that as the person. That person is appointed. No, not always. Actually, if you look in the book of Hosea, God told Israel that they had kings and that they had princes and so forth that were not set up by him. You see, everyone comes to power is not chosen by God. Now, I have a whole teaching on how that does really happen and how it works. It's not that God's not involved at all, but if God says they were set up but not by me, then that's the truth. That's the truth. That means, that not everybody that is in a governmental position is there by the will of God. And we have to understand that. And with that, especially in America, we have a responsibility. Now, you see, prior to the flood, there was no civil government. Everyone was doing what they thought. Now, Cain killed Abel. God protected him in a manner of speaking, but because sin was not being punished, evil grew, violence grew. The thoughts of their heart were evil continually. But then we do see after the flood, even though God had instituted civil government, we see that the first real expression of it in the Tower of Babel. And with that, their expression was a mess. It was contrary to the purpose of God. It was really about exalting themselves. And so God confounded their languages and spread them out. And at that point, he reduced some of the power of civil government. Let me put it another way. He reduced the effectiveness of civil government. Lord have mercy, you can watch that on TV today. He reduced the effectiveness of civil government in the Tower of Babel, but it never lost its ultimate purpose. And the thing of it is, the positions are accountable to God. The people in the positions are accountable, but that doesn't mean that the people in the positions are doing the will of God. God bless you. Join us again tomorrow.
You've been listening to Ecclesia Principles with Ray Eppard. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook on our Ray Eppard pages. This program was brought to you by Victory Worship Center and World Outreach. Services Sunday 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, 200 Hammond Lane, Stanton, Virginia.